Morning everyone, welcome to All Four Queens. Oh, it's not morning, it's afternoon. Well, it's afternoon here anyway. Hope everyone's doing well and you getting on with your practices. And I see that there's quite a lot of people that have seen some of the videos, so I'm very grateful. So thank you for watching. And I'm hoping that there are people out there that are sorting out some of the issues that I'm having as well, because no one should be able to bully and abuse people. Not just me, everyone in the collective. As I said before, people should be able to live side by side, whether you operate in the dark, whether you operate in the light. But what you shouldn't do is force your view on someone else and try to squash them out, which is not really the right thing to do, is it? It just shows that, you know, there's a bit of healing there that needs to be done. So anyway, oh, my hair sticking out there. So anyway, today I said I'd do Deuteronomy. I can't even pronounce it. And it leads on from the generational curses. Now, what are generational curses? There are things that obviously we pick up, but there are also things that, you know, a family inherit as well. And I've got some cards to show you as well. I'm going to start to open up a little bit more, and you'll start to understand why things are the way they are and why I've gone through what I've gone through. I mean, it's no secret really, is it? So most of the people watching are probably from some of the societies that are all linked. Hence my ancestor going past there. So, you know, we're not, you know, this is a spiritual channel, and mine is about spiritual warfare and the things that happen. So if you're not clued up about it and you're not quite sure what's going on, maybe you're not ready to know. Because for me, when I talk about love not the world and the Bible, and when I look at the world, it's an onion, and there's an onion of worlds upon worlds upon worlds upon worlds, and some of them are quite dark, and some of them are quite, you know, you'd be surprised who's actually linked to it, because you wouldn't think it is that person. Let's just put it that way. So so yeah, and I will do something else on that. Hence why Sleeping Beauty, it was important to try and keep me asleep for as long as possible, with lots of magic and lots of lies and all deception and all that sort of stuff, because you know, they don't want people like me, us, they, awake. And we know too much, don't we? Anyway, today's session is about the generational curse. Now, what is a generational curse? Now, sometimes generational curse can be addictions, infidelity. And what do I mean by that? So, like, some people are probably brought up where third parties, tri-parties, multiple parties, orgies, whatever you want to call it, is quite normal. And so for them, that's something that they just go into as well, and that they create those types of relationships. But one has to ask yourself is, and I've said it in an earlier one, and it's no judgment because everyone you do what you want, but if you have to have multiple people and not find that one in your relationship, then I ask the question as to whether or not you're with the right person anyway. You know, and I said that right at the very beginning. So, you know, just saying. So anyway, pathological lying, secret holders, manipulation, deception, lack of honesty, low self-esteem, you know, everybody else is to blame, but, you know, you never take accountability for it, all those types of things. But they say divorce as well can be part of it, you know, if there's a history of that type of thing. But then that comes back to picking the right person, doesn't it? And also, one of the things that I will say about relationships, they don't come with a CV. And then you don't, you know, like when you go for a job, you go with the CV and it's got everything down there, and you're vetted, you might do a psychometric test. Well, you don't do that with relationships. But one of the things that people never look at is to whether the morals and the values match. It's just assumed that that person's the person, and therefore, you know, everything's going to be right. And I question that. You know, I think we should look a little bit deeper. Hence why, you know, one of my missions for the younger people, especially with the world that we've been forced into with this negativity and, you know, everything's a sweet sharp, is to not jump into the bed straight away. Actually court and see whether this person is worthy of your sex. And if they're not, then move on. And I'm not saying all young people do it, because I think there's a lot of older people that are still behaving like that. But I think if we want to change the world and we want to raise our vibrations, there's certain things that we need to do as well, and some of the things that are those things, and they're generational as well. But also, you know, sex is sacred, and it's not something to just throw around. And also, if there's lots of Jezebel spirits around, which there are, they target via sex. So the easiest thing to do is to starve it out. Don't give to it, and you'll feel better when you do. So let's talk the Bible and generational curses. So some of the scriptures that I've picked up on, so some of the scriptures I've picked up on is Exodus 34:7, maintaining love to thousands and forgiving the wickedness, rebellion and sin, yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parents to the generations, third, fourth, etc. I want to add on that as well, because I forgot to add, witchcraft is also a generational curse, and I think I've said that right at the very beginning when I talk about the lake of fire and people not clearing their karmic debt, and one of their karmic debt and their generational curse could be not to follow in the family trait of whatever witchcraft is. Now remember, witchcraft can be practitioners, i.e. putting candles in your garden, or it can be tongue, you know, people speaking ill of people, lies, gossip, manipulation, deception, you know, telling somebody that somebody's something that they're not. But then my only caveat on that is, if someone said something about someone and that person hasn't gone and done their due diligence, then who's to blame, really? You know, we've all got a responsibility. If someone says something to me, and I think I said it in the earlier one, someone says something to me, I'm not going to listen to necessarily what they say. I'm going to go and do my own work and seek for myself. You know, that's what being an adult is, isn't it? You know, don't take the opinions of the people, and certainly don't take the opinions of the people when it comes to living your life, because not everybody means well. Some people are a wolf in sheep's clothing, unfortunately. Numbers 14:18, the Lord is slow to anger, abounding in love and forgiving sin and rebellion, yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation. So basically Numbers is just saying what Exodus says. Deuteronomy, I can never pronounce it, 5:9, you shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. So again, same. So if you look at the Bible, most of it is written in the same way, and it's saying the same thing in different sections. Jeremiah 31:29-30, in those days people will no longer say the parents have eaten sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge. Instead, everyone will die for their own sin. Whoever eats sour grapes, their own teeth will be set on edge. So for me, that's sort of, I wouldn't say it's contradicting the top, but what it's actually saying is, if the children eat sour grapes and they do bad, they will also get karma, and they will also pass it on down their line to their children. And I think we all know that that's what happens, and that's why, although, you know, it's great to be alive, there are bigger reasons why we're here, and one of the reasons is to clear all this darkness, to clear all these generational curses, so the next generation has a clean slate. As the world is shifting, and there was stuff I was watching yesterday, and whoever was in my phone, you will have heard the same, Earth is shifting, the planet is shifting, and basically it's stripping itself of old to make new for new. And that's why it's so important to raise our vibrations, because if you don't raise your vibration, you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to move into the light, and you're not going to be able to absorb the next phase. I think that's the simplest way I can put it without being too technical and scientific on it. But, you know, go and have a look at it. It's out there, you know. And while I read Revelations, if you look at what's happening around the world, the storms and everything else, you know, Mother Gaia is cleaning up her earth because she's not happy with what people have been throwing out. All this darkness using, graveyard dirt and all that. It affects the world. So, it is important that people take stock and raise the vibration, because if you don't, you're not going to come through. I don't see it. And I've got something to talk about, the help me. I know what that is now. But I'll do that on another one because I know what it is, and I saw it for myself. Ezekiel 18:1-4. For everyone belongs to me, the parent as well as the child. Both alike belong to me. The one who sins is the one who will die. I think we'll leave it on that one, and I'll go into Deuteronomy, because I think for me, that's what's happening. All this stuff, and I've said it to you before, all this stuff that's been thrown out, and people messing with the darkness and magic and all this stuff. Libra season, everything's reversing, and we're in year of infinity. So it's been happening throughout the year anyway. Silly little things like your car don't work or whatever. All the little things that are happening is because of all the stuff that you've thrown out, or somebody else has thrown out, and it's probably backfired to you. So all I'm saying is be mindful. And why I believe, not everybody, but I believe faith is so important when you get into spiritual warfare. I've said before, the only people that protect you in the spiritual realm is your ancestors. So when you've got no connection to faith, and you've got no connection to the God energy and the Jesus consciousness, and you've got no connection to your angels and your ancestors, then who is going to protect you when all this stuff is coming back at you, or people are attacking you for no reason? You've got to look at it. So, it's important. So let's do Deuteronomy. Renewal of the covenant. 29:3. There are the terms of the covenant the Lord commanded Moses to make with the Israelites in Moab. In addition to the covenant he had made with them at Horeb, Moses summoned all the Israelis and said to them, "Your eyes have seen all that the Lord did in Egypt and Pharaoh, to all of his officials and to all his land. With your own eyes you saw those great trials, those miraculous signs and great wonders. But to this day, the Lord has not given you mind that understands, or eyes that see, or ears that hear. During the 40 years that I led you through the desert, your clothes did not wear out, nor did the sandals on your feet. You ate no bread and drank no wine or other fermented drink. I did this so that you might know that I am the Lord your God. When you reach this place, Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, king of Bashan, came out to fight against us, but we defeated them. We took their land and gave it as an inheritance to the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh. Carefully follow the terms of this covenant, and so that you may prosper in everything you do. All of you are standing today in the presence of the Lord your God, your leaders and chief men, your elders and officials, and all other men of Israel, together with your children, your wives, and the aliens living in your camp, who chop your wood and carry your water. You are standing here in order to enter into the covenant with the Lord your God, a covenant the Lord is making with you this day, and sealing with an oath, to confirm you this day as the people, that he may be your God, as he promised you, and as you swore to your brothers Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. I am making this covenant with its oath, not only with you who are standing here with us today in the presence of the Lord our God, but also with those who are not here today. You yourselves know how we lived in Egypt and how we passed through the countries on the way here. You saw among them the detestable images and the idols of wood and stone, of silver and gold. Make sure there is no man or woman, clan or tribe among you today whose heart turns away from the Lord our God to go and worship the gods of those nations. Make sure there is no root among you that produces such bitter poison. When such a person hears the words of this oath, he invokes a blessing on himself and therefore thinks, I will be safe even though I persist in going my own way. This will bring disaster on the watered land as well as the dry. The Lord will never be willing to forgive him. His wrath and zeal will burn against the man. All the curses written in this book will fall upon him, and the Lord will blot out his name from under heaven. The Lord will single him out from all the tribes of Israel for disasters according to all the curses of the covenant written in the book of law. Your children who follow you in later generations and foreigners who come from distant lands will see the calamities that have fallen on the land and the diseases with which the Lord has inflicted. The whole land will be a burning waste of salt and sulphur, nothing planted, nothing sprouting, no vegetables growing on it. It will be like the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, which the Lord overthrew in fierce anger. All the nations will ask, why has the Lord done this to this land? Why this fierce burning anger? And the answer will be is because the people abandoned the covenant of the Lord and God of their fathers, the covenant he made with them when he brought them out of Egypt. They went off and worshipped other gods and bowed down to them, gods they did not know, gods he had not given them. Therefore the Lord's anger burned against the land, so that he brought on it all the curses written in this book. In furious anger and in great wrath the Lord uprooted them from their land and thrust them into another land, as it is now. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and our children forever, and we may follow all the words of this law. There's more to it than that, but what basically he's saying there is, you didn't follow what he's asked us to do, and for those that have used God's word but still do things against the word of God, burning sulphur, and everything's going back. And like I said before, we all have to deal with what we put out. So now what's happening is there's a lot of projection. Whoever is constantly throwing stuff at me, my suggestion would be to stop, because you're not helping yourself. What can I say in layman's terms? You do the crime, you do the time. And so you were quite happy to meddle in the dark, and now, because you're not cloaked, and because there's no veil, and because the universe and the spiritual realm has said no more, and they're now putting it back all on you, everything you've ever done, there's no point in projection at me, because all you're doing is manifesting me new. You've got to take what you put out. We all had to do it, and in some cases, like I said, I've had to do other people's karma because they thought this time round I was going to do it again, and I'm not. It's your karma, you deal with it. So, the cards. The truth about family. Black magic. It's under judgment. People are angry and trying to defend. Because they were waiting for a Two of Cups, and they were working on it. Now everyone's in regret, or is it remorse? I would question, and I'm going to say this, I would question whether that's because the spiritual realm have put the foot down and people just haven't got their way. Because if you look at the way he's crossing his arms, it's not necessarily regret, it's more of a, I would say more of a sulk than anything else, that they just didn't get their way. Heartbroken about the breadcrumbing in the lovers, who are now fighting, trying to get strength to walk away because of a tower. Remember what he said, what the Lord did in Deuteronomy, sorry. You know, he just stopped allowing the land and just blew everything up. Sodom and Gomorrah, exactly the same. Walk away, took action, or it could be the Knight of Wands, to betray. The Knight of Pentacles, so the Knight of Wands took action to betray the Knight of Pentacles. So to me, that's intentional. And he's now burdened by the lies of the King of Cups. Now remember, the King of Cups doesn't have to be a man, it can be a female as well. Someone's just operating in that energy, who is now trying to heal or resting over all the illusions and confusion by the Magician. Remember, the Magician was inserted in, who took a leap of faith to get the cup, the Ace of Cups, which is obviously the love offer, but to trap, and now they're in the head. The High Priestess, or they didn't use their intuition, one of the two. Finally went within, but it came to light. So trap the High Priestess, or go back to the High Priestess, which was the Empress. But it came to light that when they made the effort, the cycle closed. So what's happening at the moment, and what I'm feeling at the moment, is because the cycle's closed, and if you look at what I said about toxicity and coercive control, and the guy with his arms like that on the card that didn't accept the cup, for me, I think there's a lot of anxiety, because obviously there's a lot of change going on, and those that have already had to deal with it, we understand that you just go through it, you surrender it and you go through it. But for the diehards that are just fighting it, they're making it worse. But what they're doing is they're throwing out more, and by doing that, you're just creating more conflict and chaos for yourself. And coming for my stability isn't going to bode very well. You know, it's just going to create more challenge for you and for the organisations that you work for. So me personally, and I've said it again, I would surrender. I would surrender. You know, everything that I've showed in the cards, it's not a secret. People do it. People do it. But why are you doing it, and what you're hoping to achieve out of it, and blocking the divine paths, is not the way forward, because spiritual realm said no. So that's just my message. I would surrender, and I would start throwing out more chaos and conflict, because my God is not a God of chaos and conflict. So, you know, he's not happy, and he's not putting up with it anymore, and neither is the spiritual realm. And those who are in authority and know about the spiritual realm, which I know you do, you know what that means. So I just take the message as you find it. So I'm gonna love yous and leave yous. I'm gonna do another one in a minute, and see if I get this uploaded, and then see you later. See you later. Bye.